Namaste. I'm Angela Quinn, and I'm going to be offering a brief demonstration and tutorial on coming into Sirsasana B, which is Tri-pod Headstand. So we'll get started. We'll first make our way into a tabletop position. So coming onto all fours, the hands come underneath the shoulders, and the knees come underneath the hips. So for our Tri-pod Headstand, we want to create an equilateral triangle with the hands being the base angle of the triangle and the crown of the head being the top angle of the triangle. So a lot of times people will set up for this pose and they'll have their hands and head on the same line, but we don't want that to happen. We want to have this triangle formation with the hands as the base and the crown of the head as the top of the triangle. So from here, from our tabletop position, we want to slide our hands slightly behind our shoulders. We want to slide our chest forward and bring our crown of the head down to the ground in front of the fingertips. From here, we tuck our toes, lift our knees, and lift our hips. We can stay right here, building strength in the neck and the crown of the head. Or if we'd like to come deeper, we start to walk our feet in towards our face. Hug our elbows in so that the elbows don't flail out towards the sides, but they're hugging in. From here, we can start to alternate, bringing one knee to the tricep at a time. And you can stay right here, bringing the knees alternately to the triceps. If you start to feel stable with one leg on the tricep, you can see about maybe bringing both legs onto the tricep. From here, you can stay, or if you'd like to come a little bit deeper into the form, we can see about maybe lifting one leg up towards the sky, and then placing that knee back down, and then lifting the other knee up, or the other leg up towards the sky, and then placing that leg down. And again, if you feel pretty stable and comfortable there, you can start to see about maybe lifting both legs up towards the sky. Once the legs are up, flex, point, or point through the feet. So keep the legs active, hug the thighs in towards one another. Again, stay and breathe. And then once it's time to make our way out of the form, especially if you're newer to the form, you want to come down one leg at a time. So we'll come down one leg and then the other leg. We'll lower the knees and bring our hips back towards our heels in child's pose. A couple of breaths in child's pose. And then I'll show us how we can progress and alter this form. So we can come in again to tabletop position. From our tabletop position, again creating that equilateral triangle, hands the base angle of the triangle. So the hands slide back slightly behind the shoulders, the chest comes forward, the crown of the head comes down to the ground. From here we tuck our toes, lift our knees and lift our hips, start to walk our feet in towards our face, and then from here we can see about maybe piking our way into the form, so coming onto the tips of the toes, lifting the legs up, squeezing the inner thighs towards one another, keeping the legs active, keeping the feet active, so flex, point, or point through the feet. If you feel pretty stable here, you're welcome to move the legs, maybe coming side to side with the legs, maybe coming forward and back with the legs, scissoring the legs. And then again, if we're able to pike into the form, we can see about bringing ourselves out of the form with that same pike. So a lot of times it's easier to first come down through the pike before we can actually come up through the pike. So always practicing to keep those legs straight, the legs engaged, the feet engaged, lowering down slowly, letting the toes come down towards the earth, and then lowering the knees and sending the hips back to the heels in child's pose. Again, anytime we're practicing a headstand variation, we want to make sure that we give ourselves a little bit of time in child's pose following the asana. So another opportunity for us to come into this posture in a different manner. So again, we tried first with that walking in and bringing the knees to the triceps one at a time, alternating lifting one leg up towards the sky, The second form that we practiced was lifting both legs up at a time with the legs straight in a pike form and coming down in that same manner. And this time I'm going to have us try the straddle into the form. So for the straddle, we want to start again in tabletop position. From our tabletop position, again, creating that equilateral triangle so the hands slide behind the shoulders, chest slides forward, crown of the head comes down. From here, we can tuck our toes, lift our knees, lift our hips, and we want to bring our feet wide. So walking our feet wide. From there, coming onto the tips of the toes, leaning towards the crown of the head, and we can see about lifting our legs out to the sides and above the head. Again, keep those elbows hugging in. So the elbows are bent towards 90 degrees. And then again, if we came into this form through the step, through the straddle, we can make our way back out through the straddle. So bringing the legs out towards the sides, slowly, 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 the slower the better. And then lowering the feet down. From here, we can bring our feet back together, lower the knees and hips to heels, child's pose. So once we feel stable in Sirsasana B, so in our traditional headstand, if we feel pretty stable, we can start to modify with our hands and we can start to switch the form up with our hands. So a couple of ways that we can do that, I'll just briefly show, is we can come onto our fingertips. So again, we prepare in the same way, remembering that we want the triangle, the tripod, the triangle between the hands and the crown of the head. But again, for this variation, we can kind of take our spider hands so the tips of our fingers will come down towards the ground. The thumbs face forward, the rest of the fingertips point towards the back edge of our mat. Again, we're creating that equilateral triangle so the crown of the head comes down. We tuck our toes, lift our knees, lift our hips, and we can start to bring ourselves up into that Sirsasana B, that supported headstand. Again, active through the legs, hugging the inner thighs towards one another. And then to come out, we come out in the same way that we made our way in. Okay, so that's another alternate variation of tripod headstand, supported headstand. I'll also give us one more variation of this headstand, so supported headstand. And for this form, we're going to grab hold of alternate elbows and bring the elbows down towards the ground. From here, we're going to bring the crown of the head forward of the elbows, tuck the toes, lift the knees, lift the hips. From here, we can start to lift our legs up, pressing the forearms down to the ground and lifting the legs into our headstand variation. Lowering back down, child's pose. So again, this is Sirsasana B, tripod headstand or supported headstand. A couple different variations, working from first just making our way into the form, preparing our body to make its way into Sirsasana B, and then a couple of different progressions as we start to find the ease in the form. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.